How do
I was
you?
thinking I
Oh, I'm
was
sorry. Go
thinking
ahead.
I was thinking like a DC motor, like a 6 volt, something like that.
That's a really good idea. How do you picture the motor starting? What is the mechanism to start the auger turning?
Oh, a battery.
Okay, and then some sort of a switch, or is the
The
doggo
foot
going to start it somehow? Or
the foot switch.
okay,
So when she stands on the foot switch, it finishes the circuit.
that's a cool idea. I like that.
So like the longer she stands on it, the more food comes out. And she's not a dog that would just sit there watching the food fall down. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
My corgi would just walk up and put her rear end down and just sit and watch the food just come out all day long.
How are you going to make your auger?
That's something I was gonna buy, like a part.
Is that something that you've been able to find online that you can buy?
I haven't looked yet.
Okay.
I'm starting to look like today and tomorrow. I've been kind of looking for parts.
Okay. If you can't find an auger, can you think of another way to get the food to come out?
I thought of multiple ways, like using a latch, like a door with springs, but the weight of the food on top it would not be able to come back necessarily because of the weight.
How much does your dog weigh, do you think?
She weighs, yeah, I was gonna say like 80, 90 pounds right now.
Wow, that's a big dog.
Yeah, she's a big dog.
Do you think you can use the dog's weight to move things around?
I've kind of thought of that a little bit. Um, I'll think more about that.
Well, could I share an idea with you just in case you can't find the auger? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to change to an overhead camera here. This is just a big piece of paper that I have. And something that you might be able to do is this will be our box, right? So we're looking sideways at a box, and we could make something of a teeter-totter inside the box. And this is, of course, not to scale. So
Yeah.
on the teeter-totter, you've got all of this yummy, yummy food. And then when your puppy dog steps on it, you'd have to have a foot switch for your dog and a rope. But then when your dog steps on it, it causes the teeter-totter to flip down and the food to spill out.
And I have a question about that. How would you refill this? Because this is something that we would fill like every 2 or 3 days, and
Oh,
it would dispense her food when she wants it and when she needs it.
oh, you're
So,
getting fancy on me then, huh? So you want to have a reservoir.
yeah.
Okay, well then if you're gonna get fancy on me, I'm gonna get fancy on you, and I'm gonna make you do more work. Okay? And I'm gonna make you use springs. Do you have access to a Pringles can?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. And by the way, we're also joined here by another wonderful TA, James, and he might have some other ideas. And I do see a couple people in the waiting room, and we'll get to you just as quick as we can, okay? So here's what I'm thinking we do. Oh, I guess I should have drawn that the other way. Whoops. Okay. Nobody look at that. So here's my Pringles can, and my Pringles can is going to have a hole in it. Now, above the Pringles can, I'm going to have that slot into a piece of cardboard. Oh, I'm on the wrong paper there. So this Pringles can is going to be able to, you could either make it slide or roll over, but probably I'm going to do this particular idea as having the Pringles can be something that can move back and forth this way. With me so far?
Yeah.
So the Pringles can is going to be, you're going to cut some holes in it, keep a couple pieces of cardboard, and the Pringles can move left and right. Above it, you would have to be pretty careful, but I think you're a clever kid. I think you can get another piece of cardboard to wrap over there so that when the Pringles can is inside a hole under the food hopper,
Yeah.
food goes down inside. Cool so far?
Yeah.
Now, the other end of the Pringles can is going to be the exact opposite of that. There's going to be a hole in it on the bottom side. And you're going to set up the same thing so that there's a cover on it. This probably isn't the world's best drawing, but the basic idea is when the Pringles can is over here, food can go in, then the Pringles can shifts. So then this end is open now and that end is closed. So food can come out. And if you put it at an angle, gravity does the rest. My art skills leave something to be desired, Martine, I tell you.
And how is the dog going to trigger that mechanism?
Oh,
By pushing on his-
hold on one second. I got to do this on screen. That's for you to figure out. What do you think? How could the dog trigger it? Give me 2 ways.
A crank?
You think your dog can crank? No. Oh, you know something? I see somebody in the background making hand movements. I can't tell if that's a kid or an adult. Soraya, I'm going to, and Anaya, I'm going to add you on into our conversation. Did you have an idea on how to do that?
Yes, we did. We were, we're pulley nuts, right? So I'm Soraya, this is Ananya. But we were thinking, so it's like, it's on an angle, right, Martin? So gravity is your friend. So you could have a string going to a pulley, going down to the lever. So as the dog steps on the lever, it pulls the string and pulls it up. And then as the dog steps off, it releases. And that would allow it to move up and down and be triggered pretty simply and mechanically, I think. Of course, friction is not your friend.
Yeah. Thanks.
So it's just an idea in case your auger ends up not working out or you can't find the one you need. It would just give you another way so you don't have to give up.
Thanks.
Do you want to hang out with us and we'll see what our other students need help with?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to also add Iris so she's not left out. So, Iris, welcome. I'm Mark, Chris, and James. I've been monopolizing the conversation. So who wants to take the next one? James, would you like to lead it for a minute?
I'll give it my best shot. How about that?
It's you.
All right. So let's see. We had Ananya, I believe you jumped in next. So did you have any specific questions or did you guys just want to talk about your project?
I think do you want to describe what we're doing, sweetheart?
Well, we're making a snack dispense and warning mechanism. So basically our idea is that whenever the snack is out, it's going to warn us and then mom can add it onto the virtual shopping list. And we also want it to dispense.
Okay.
And so basically, what we're trying to do is figure out a way that we can actually trigger the warning system.
So do you want to show so we've got several ideas of how to make this work. The wrinkle, as far as I can see, is that her favorite snack only weighs 32 grams. And so trying to use like a mechanical switch, which we'd prefer to do, it's like that's not a lot of pressure going on. So
But technically, you can use motors.
that's true. So, do you want to show a picture of what you're thinking of, Poppet? And no, we don't have the fancy overhead camera, unfortunately. So we had sort of two basic ideas. One is that there's like a spring-loaded pressure plate that triggers something when the springs are released that allows a banner to unfurl from the top. That's idea number one. I'm really taken with the idea of a mousetrap because it's got such a delicate trigger, but she's worried about mousetrap fingers. I just think it makes it hilarious, though.
I do not want to have my fingers cut off by a mousetrap.
That's not the snacking experience you are aiming for? Is that
No.
what I'm hearing?
And that was all on Mom's case.
That's really interesting, though. So, yeah, like a couple different ways to trigger that. You talked about perhaps like the pressure plate, if you spring load it, being a little bit, difficult to measure such a fine amount of force. At the same time, since I'll ask you the question that you got to ask just a second ago, are there ways to increase or decrease the amount of force that something might generate, even if it's a lightweight object in your system? So for instance, I'll give you a really easy one because that's what I get to do in this position. But I'll give you the really easy one, and then you can just kind of think on this. You don't have to give me an answer right now. But if I give you the example of the same teeter-totter that we were talking about before, if a really lightweight snack lives a long way away from the fulcrum of a lever, then it doesn't take much force for it to actually trip a switch. So there might be something you could look at testing there. But yeah, does that kind of give you any ideas? Does that make you think of any new approaches?
Ananya, what do you think?
If we use the teeter-totter, then we could actually load snacks into a rectangular compartment above, and then when we press like a lever or button, a hole could open, and one snack could go out, and then it could fall onto the teeter-totter, and the teeter-totter could deliver it into the depositing site, in which you would just lift the lid and get the snack.
Yes.
That's really true, yeah.
And what about, so what we need, of course, Poppet, is a switch that triggers the thing when there are no more snacks left, right? That's our key thing there. It's got to happen when there are no more snacks left.
Then again, we can still use like that same pressure pad idea, because then inside that rectangular container, it could be just a pressure pad at the bottom, like at one space. And at the other space, like half of it could just be pressure pad and the other space could just be like the hole. And then it just releases that onto the teeter-totter to be delivered into the delivery zone. And then all the snacks would be on the other side, which is where the pressure plate is. And then so the pressure plate would actually activate when all the snacks are off. Then you would know if you didn't have any more snacks.
That's true. I'm thinking that gave me an idea for something even simpler. We could just turn it into a giant switch with a contact on that shorter end that when the last snack removes, it falls and closes the circuit.
Yeah, but the problem would be it would do that every time there was a snack.
The constant force of the snacks dropping. Interesting.
That's really cool. Well, I just want to give you a little bit of encouragement. It sounds like you're already doing a really good job of separating the different pieces of the requirements here, right? Like even when I offer a really basic mechanism, you're kind of thinking of how, well, if I put that in a system, this is the impact it will have. That's really good to see. Like at this stage, you will come up with a cool solution. I would bet money on it.
So one last question then, and this is just merely catering to my own interest. Can anyone think of how to involve a mousetrap in this? because
We are
I'm
not
like,
doing a mouse trap.
it's a beautiful, super
We are not
delicate
doing a mouse trap.
mechanism, right?
No mouse trap.
Oh man.
I would like to add one. So most mouse traps are triggered when something steps on something, right? You hit the trigger, it releases the sear pin, it flips over, and you get to destroy some little tiny bones in your daughter's fingers.
Come on now.
But think about that, and I don't have this fully fleshed out myself, right? So I don't have a great idea. But it is possible to put in a weight that is always there, that's always pulling on the mousetrap, pulling it down to keep it kind of in a safe condition. And maybe you have this mousetrap upside down, a weight's pulling down on it. And then when you're out of snacks completely, your lever goes up, it hits the weight. Now all of a sudden the mousetrap triggers, it sends up a flag, and it lets you know to reorder.
I like the idea of involving a weight. That's going to allow more stability in the system.
Yeah. And
That's
it's less likely to crush her fingers.
It's most likely to trust her because she likes putting applesauce in her porridge.
oh, that is no, that's a fantastic idea. Thank you. That's very, very, very helpful.
Also,
All
by
right,
using the weight, you can calibrate it. So
Yeah.
by using different weights, you can really fine tune the sensitivity and have that match to your snack. So that might be a fun thing to experiment with once you're getting into the prototyping, is adjusting those weights a little bit, and then you can really dial that in.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that so we had it as desirable, like one of our optional requirements, that we could do more than one different kind of snack. Obviously the varying weight makes that trickier. So maybe this would allow us to do that. Very cool.
I really like that. I'd not thought of using the weight to counterbalance to give you a variation. Because like you said, different snacks now your system can support
Yeah.
varying weights, varying sizes and shapes that way.
So, all right. We still have plenty of room in the waiting room, but I'm going to remove some of you to the waiting room so that I tried pushing different buttons. I don't have that much flexibility with the software, but I want to make it more of a TA and student experience with the next one. So I'm going to remove you to the waiting room, but if you have an idea, either share it in chat or raise your hand and I can bring you back in. Okay. Okay. If I accidentally kick you out, I'm sorry. I've never removed anybody before, but I think this just weight rooms you. And then we'll bring in Iris and Lucas. I see you. We'll bring you in after Iris. Okay. Hi, buddy. Okay. James.
And he promises nothing about mousetrap safety while removing people from the.
Okay, Martine and Chris, I'm going to remove myself, I think, and then it'll be you with Iris, okay?
Sounds great.
Iris, do you have a parent there with you? Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi there. How you doing?
Good.
How can we help you?
We just talked about your idea, and we talked about like how it's going to work. And
so my idea was a dispenser that would dispense chocolate onto like disgusting food that your parents make you eat.
Okay.
And I would actually eat it, and I would have like a container and some sort of heating pad that we would stick into it, and there would be a lid where I would put chocolate chips in, and then I would have a faucet where I could just dispense it onto my
So everything's better with chocolate. Is that the goal here? Okay, I don't disagree. I'm with you on that. All right. So what ideas do you have so far to make this work?
Well, if something goes wrong, we always have like some Tupperware containers that work as a base.
Okay.
And we were thinking maybe with I mean, we need to have a waterproof material for the structure.
Okay.
So, like, if we coated wood in like something, it might work. But that might be like the only other material we could do.
Okay.
And then you were wondering about how to heat up the chocolate, right?
Yeah. We looked on Amazon and with MasterCard for some heating things, and we found some things, but some of them might have been like too hot and too dangerous and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of looking at that. But that's going to be one of my experiments. Like, how hot does it need to be?
Yeah, so that's actually getting to be a tricky one because you definitely, that's a really good thought. You need to be careful of the heat, and there's obviously a safety concern when you have a heating element, right, to keep your chocolate nice and soft and gooey. Trying to think of something out there that's like a real simple commercially available thing. Let's try to think about this a little bit. So the other thought that we have to have is it has to be ready on demand, right? So you don't, it kind of needs to be, when it's getting mealtime, you get something you don't want, you need to be able to run over there real quick and slide something in, right? To
Yeah.
chocolate coat it, right?
And,
Okay.
I was thinking that like you would fill it up like once every like maybe a day or two, and then so you would have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So, well, okay. So essentially we've got a chocolate fountain, right? So, and I know those exist. So that's one way to look at this is if you find a device, on Amazon or something like that, that is already constructed, they already have the safety features built in for the heating elements. Okay, so that would be the one thing that I'm going to lay out there first is building your own heating element. That there's definitely some risk and some dangers with that. With the pre-made thing, you already have the certifications done. You already have the safety features built in. So I would kind of recommend looking for some sort of pre-made heating element that you can leave plugged in for a while. And at that point, like say a chocolate fountain or some sort of a fondue type thing would work well. So what we need to do then is if we can get that part pre-made, which would be easier and frankly safer, then at that point we need to figure out how to get the chocolate, right, from whatever this device is onto your food of choice. So my next question for you is it in your design ideas, was it for a single food or did you want it like for anything that could come out? So if you get like a big plate full of Brussels sprouts, are you going to want to chocolate coat those, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking, I mean, you could like really choose what you wanted to put it on. Like if you had something really good, like cake on your plate, but then your parents also made you eat broccoli, you could only put it on the broccoli.
Okay. All right. So what we can do is, I think it's going to be kind of dependent on what we find to keep your chocolate heated, right? But you're going to want to have some sort of a switch, right? So when you put your food under there, you're going to want it to have it activate somehow to open a door, open a hatch, open a little trough, where a certain amount of chocolate is going to come out and run down and hit your food. So we can do that with a couple different ways. You can do it with electronics. You can slide a plate in where it touches a little switch and it'll open a door maybe with like a little trough that comes out that you can attach to. I'm going to keep going back to the chocolate fountain idea because again, we got flowing chocolate, right? So it'd be easy to capture and make a little trough to run it down into. Let's see, what else? What other ideas did you have? I'm trying to come up with some neat ideas to move the chocolate because this could be a lot of fun. You could really make it look neat, and it just kind of have almost like a Rube Goldberg type design where you have chocolate going everywhere and hitting all the food. So let's see, what else can we come up with? James, you got a good idea on this one? I'm trying to think of some other ways to move the chocolate.
You were thinking about pouring it out.
I mean, the idea was we could get a drum faucet and then attach it to like a bin or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could just like pull on the lever and it would do it for you. Or we could have like a plate that would go under.
You know, I'm having this vision of like a giant slot machine arm. You just pull it back and like the wheels of food come out and the chocolate just comes down it and fills it up. I'm just getting like this big Bugs Bunny type version of something in my head to pull on this chocolate. But it literally can be as easy as a big mechanical arm that you pull that it will just open a tumbler underneath the chocolate section and just allow an X amount of chocolate. You can even make a pre-sized tumbler that will hold an X amount of chocolate. So when you pull the handle, the tumbler can turn and pour out that much, and then you let it go. It can be spring loaded. The handle could come back. The chocolate could fill up your reservoir again, something like that. That's you can do it a lot of different ways, but again, I think even just a mechanical pole handle would work really well. But again, I would encourage finding a pre-made, certified heating element to keep the chocolate warm.
Could I offer two quick suggestions, and then I want to move on, and we'll get Lucas, and maybe we can circle back if we have time.
Yeah.
At the sporting goods stores and Home Depot, they sell these little hand warmer things. They're 12-hour hand warmers. I wonder if that wouldn't be hot enough to safely warm the chocolate without burning it. You would have to before dinner comes, and when you see the broccoli come out of the family car, that's when you'd want to open it and maybe put it around a little carafe or a butter warmer type thing.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, they get pretty warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that work, Iris?
Yeah, I guess that would.
Okay.
I was pitching Iris on a sous vide.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever I was doing it, if it had a lid, it would be hard because it would be mounted. And then, if I had it, it would be mounted and it would just stick up, and so I can have.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to try a different window button, and then we're going to bring in Frank. Lucas. He's been incredibly patient, and since we are starting to fill up the waiting room, I am going to ask those people that we've helped, I've already forgotten your name. Is it Martin? Oh, I don't have your audio, friend.
Martine.
I'm sorry, Martine. Martine, we are filling up the waiting room a little. Is it okay if you go watch us on YouTube and then just come back in if you have something to add?
Sure, let me see if I can find you.
Okay. Yeah, don't leave until you can, okay? And if you have trouble, hit me up in chat and I'll see if I can help you out, okay? All right. Iris, I hope that helps. You are in my group. I remember the broccoli chocolate. So I know I'm going to know how that one ends up. I look forward to it. Okay.
Thanks, Iris. Have fun.
Stay in here until you find us on YouTube. And if you can't find us on YouTube, let me know and I'll share a link. All right. We're adding to the stream now. Frank is another TA. Welcome. Oh, we don't have your audio yet. Hi. Okay. Welcome. And then we've got Lucas, who has been waiting ever so patiently. I really appreciate that, buddy. So you are now the star.
I don't know if I like that, but okay.
I can make it a little less intensive.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm just trying to figure out how to make you. No, see, I don't want to. It's almost like I have to remove me to make Lucas Bell removed from stream solo layout, maybe? I'm going to you know what it is, Lucas?
What?
I'm going to have to read some instructions because I don't want to be the star of this thing. I want you to be. So, Lucas, I'm going to have you working with Frank here in a minute, but
Okay.
why don't you tell all of us about your project first, and then I'll pair you with Frank, and you guys can talk for a minute, okay?
Okay, so my idea is sort of like a gumball machine, which can fit inside my locker at school, and is primarily used for Jolly Ranchers. Also, the idea is because there's so many different flavors of Jolly Ranchers. It'd be boring to just put one flavor in, and you always know what you're gonna get. So my idea is put a bunch of different flavors in, and then make it to where the container part of it can actually spin around. And basically, the way it is, there'll be like a little trapdoor thing. You can slide over, you would slide over like this, and like one or maybe two. But that's sort of might be hard to figure out. But one or maybe two can fall out, and you can close back up. If they get stuck, you just you push it back up, and yeah, it's my idea. I also want to try and make it really small so it can fit inside my locker. We still don't have lockers yet at my school, but hopefully we will soon.
All right. So, Lucas, that sounds ambitious. And I feel like, was I in your peer group a few days ago, or am I in your peer group now? I feel like
you commented on my thing with that. You commented on one of my videos on one of my posts with that cardboard M&M thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, that would not work, to be honest.
I did remember you. Okay, so I'm going to put you with Frank and James. Chris and I are going to move to the waiting room.
Okay. Bye. Hello, Frank. Hello.
Frank, do you have audio, sir?
I think so, but I'm not really a TA. I'm just a participant. Yeah.
Different Frank. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really don't want to advise Lucas. I was hoping to get a little.
Frank, that was my bad. Okay, so I'm going to bring James back, and then my apologies. All right,
it's all
James,
good. We're all experimenting here, right? That's awesome.
I'm sorry, that was just sort of unexpected.
Hey, that's what this is all about, right?
So the problem I'm finding right now is that I want to use a motor to make the thing spin. If you heard, I want to make the thing spin. So that's my problem. I have to find a motor that works and can spin that thing. I want it to be small enough to where it can fit in my locker, but I also want it big enough to where it can hold more than $5 Ranchers.
Yeah. So that's an interesting problem, right? Yeah. You're working in a pretty narrow space, probably, right?
Yeah. Also, my lockers at my school, they're not the full ones. They're the half of the thing ones. So they're really small.
So I have another question about your lockers.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a motor.
Also, I don't have to put it in my locker. I could put it anywhere, but
that's fair. So if you had a locker, do lockers usually have power sources, like a plug in the wall inside of them? I said, do they?
We haven't gone our lockers yet. That's a good point. Because the lockers is a new thing at my school, and so they have to paint them, and then some kids scratched at the paint while it was still drying, so they have to repaint it again. So we still don't have access to the lockers, so we don't know. That's the thing.
Okay.
I would prefer it to be battery powered.
Okay, perfect. So see, you're already thinking ahead of me. So yeah, I think the answer will be no, they probably don't have a place to plug in. Also, motors that plug in are a little bit more dangerous to work with, right? If I were a teacher there, I probably would say, hey, what are you doing with that thing that plugs in your locker, right?
Yeah.
If it's battery powered, maybe. So what do you know about powering a motor with a battery? Do you have some experience playing with some of those?
Yes, actually. I have used them in the past, but I had help with them. I actually have the motor on my table. Can I get to walk away for a sec so I can grab that?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Give me a few seconds. Probably should have already had it over here, but oh well.
All good. So yeah, anyone kind of sitting in the waiting room, any thoughts on other ways? I mean, I've got a couple in my head, but any other ways you might be able to kind of force this thing to rotate?
So this is an open question. Well, Lucas is he's back, but that's an open question to anybody if you want to answer when we bring you right back in, Frank.
Okay. So I don't think is my uncle thought this could work as a motor, but then he didn't realize how small it was. Yeah. It's this.
Oh yeah, that's a little boy.
Yeah, it's very small. Me and my uncle don't think it'll work. Although my aunt is thinking of like using like sprockets and like gears and stuff to try and make it work. I honestly don't think it will.
Yeah. The really cool thing about gears and sprockets, right, is that you can make a little motor like that do a lot of work, right? You can make it move something big. But this is the big hard part. But there's usually a lot of math and a lot of testing that goes into making sure that the right gears and the right sprockets are present, right?
I just want to spin something.
Bingo!
And the thing is, if I have to use all that stuff, I have to make it small.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why I think
That's
I
it.
might have to like go online and try and find a slightly bigger motor or something. Although this one does come with like a little area like for a battery thing, I just have to take it. This is from like we had this like set thing where we could make like a robot can thing. This is what this is from. So I think I could if I needed to, I could take this little widget thing apart and use it. I just have to unsolder the wires. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you another idea to try a little bit, test out, see if you like. All right. Like you said, you have to be able to build this. And I don't know if you've discovered this yet, but sometimes the things that you have to build in this class, they come up fast, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of time. So in the interest of getting something that you can make spin, I'm going to think of a couple ways here. The first way is there a way that you could just attach some kind of handle or spinning, well, I guess a grip, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could spin it manually.
Right.
That it would work. I could just use like a screw connected through like something, and I could like spin it. But the thing is, the reason I said I wanted to do it with motor, because I wanted the challenge.
Absolutely. No, and I completely understand.
But if time runs out, I will just use a can crank and like because the other the thing down here that I'm pretty sure that could be easy to do. It just could take a bit. Like it I feel like that could take like time to do, but it wouldn't be like exactly hard.
Oh, that's good.
Now, you might want to quote me later on that because
He's like, I'm not done yet. I'll tell you later.
No idea about any of this. This is my first time building something like this. So.
Well, that's good, and it's really important that as you think through what you want to build, you kind of write out for yourself. If I can make the motor work, awesome. But how much time should I spend on trying to make that motor work, right? Like if let's imagine, and I don't think this is the case, but if I said you have until tomorrow at this time to build the thing, right?
It's 8 o'clock where I am. I don't think that's possible.
Like that's a panic, right? Not enough time.
I have 4 hours to do that then.
Yeah. So what you want to do is think about the amount of time you have, and then if you have time, work on the motor. If you don't, we can find a simpler solution, right? Something that's easier, like the hand crank. One other thing, and I won't make you kind of step through this right now, but another thing you might be able to make it do, if it goes inside of a locker, one thing that, as far as I know, every locker has is a door. It's possible to use the motion of opening the door to spin the thing. How might you do that?
You connect it to, you have string connected to the door with and then like there's a thing which has like a lot of grip. You pull open the door, it might it's like raveled around this thing. You open the door, it will spin it for you.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
The thing is,
So I don't know.
Actually, I could just glue the thing. Oh my god, you're a genius.
Boy, I need to get somebody to record that. Oh wait,
I recorded it. I recorded.
Don't you worry. It'll be the last time you hear that. No, but I don't know. That's something you might want to think about. Just ideas, right?
Actually, have you heard the thing? Have you heard the thing where like Bill Gates has said he'd rather hire a lazy person than a yeah, you've heard that. So basically, I might actually do that instead of trying to work on motor, because that's much easier, and I feel like the motor could just be excessive. But like, this is more like, oh, you spin it, boom, open the thing, bop, I get my candy, I go, bye.
There you go.
That's much.
It sounds like you've got some great ideas to test. Like it really does. That's and you know
candy that would work, because Jolly Ranchers since they're hard candies, they could like get stuck in there and
it could. Yeah, that's something else to think about. Yeah, what candies don't stick as bad, right? That kind of thing. So I know I think have several people in the room. I want to make sure we give everybody a chance if they need it. But do you have any other questions before we shift on to the next one?
Honestly, I don't think I do. Based on what your whole opening the locker door thing, I think I can do it pretty easily on that. I don't think I'll have too much troubles. Just see you next time.
Well, and I'd like to point out that all I said was you can open a locker door. You're the one that came up with the solution.
I figured it out. But just saying that, just pull like a little pull the locker door of my head open, and just made me think.
That's awesome. Well, good luck, and let us know how it goes. I look forward to seeing what you come up with.
Mark, I'm pretty sure you're the TA of my group, so I feel
it's a party.
Always here for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Frank, thank you for waiting. I thought you might have been one of the TAs along with us. My apologies, sir. But thank you for your honesty.
I'm old enough to be a TA, but not this time around. So I'll try and go quickly because I think the kids need you guys probably more than I do. But on my project, I am going to have a horizontal spinning axle. It's going to be somebody pedaling a bicycle or an exercise bike. And I'm going to have an axle spinning, and that's, at least so far, that's the power source that I want to use. But it has to do one of two things that I'm struggling. The first thing it could do, if I knew how to do this, or if there was a widget that you know about, if the axle spins for, let's just say, X number of minutes, 5 minutes, at the end of those 5 minutes, the widget does something, flips a switch or does something like that. So either based on time, the axle spins for 5 minutes, boom, something, a little black box, and it trips something. Or the other way that I could accomplish this is maybe with some kind of a gearbox where the axle spins, let's just say, for example, the axle spins 30 times on the input, but the output side of the black box only spins the axle once or twice. So it'd be a gear reduction, I guess you'd call it. And I'm really too lazy to build that. And I'm wondering if there's a way to buy, if you've seen little gearboxes or something you can buy that maybe the axle on the input spins 30 times, and on the output, it only spins a lot less times. So,
yes, you can buy those. They're expensive, but you can absolutely buy reduction gears. You want to look for something called a worm drive. Has the highest reduction ratio.
Where would I look?
McMaster Car or Amazon.
So it's a worm drive reduction gearbox?
Mm-hmm. That'll give you the most number of inputs to outputs. It gives you a lot of torque, but it also does a ton of reduction with just 2 gears, which is nice. If you want to go cheap, like free, find a bicycle repair shop in your area. The gears that they have on those things, I believe they're called cassettes. And when they rebuild the bicycles for like the pro racers, all the fancy guys, they, honest to God, fill up a 50-gallon. The one near my house fills up like 50-gallon trash can a day with gears and chains and stuff. So basically, you just want to go off the person driving the bike. They need to have a small gear, and then you go to a big gear. And then you have that big gear connected to a small gear, to another big gear, and another small gear. And you keep adding the reduction that way. So you would have a big gear and a small gear connected to each other, and then a chain connecting one small gear to a big gear.
So it'll be a little Rube Goldberg-y, and then I'll be, yeah.
But it's cheap. Cheap is good.
Okay. You haven't seen anything that would figure out that an axle has been spinning for 5 minutes and decide to flip a switch after a certain duration or anything like that, have you?
To include a timing mechanism without knowing how fast the axle is spinning, you really have to go electrical, which we're trying not to do with this build. You would have to have some sort of a timer. I'm trying to think if you could use an egg timer.
Do you guys remember when we did the class before, there was a online company that Mark mentioned that had all kinds of different small motors and gearboxes, and I'm trying to remember the name of that company. Let me see if I can dig it up real quick. Do you remember that, James, vaguely?
I do vaguely. I'm gonna look and see if I saved
I
something.
guess I look for it too, but I just rang a bell. Let me dig here. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Okay.
Because I really don't want to build that thing. It seems like that could take me several days.
No. What you would want to do then, if you don't want to spend the time and you do have the money available to you to do it, is you get a worm drive, and you get a high reduction ratio worm drive. And you really need a mechanical timer. I'm trying to think if a clock mechanism might work for you. Okay. You know what might work? This is definitely Rube Goldberg, but you get to use your bicycle. You get to use that gearbox. Do you remember those old retro clocks that flipped? Little flags flipped over, the numbers flipped?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Bicycle, gearbox, clock. Right?
Yeah.
So instead of using there will be a motor inside that little clock to spin some timing element, or there might be a pendulum. Let's hope there's a motor, because that would be the easiest thing. But you would have to intercept the minute hand and have the minute hand drive the hour hand, and the hour hand be the thing that is your triggering element.
I see. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it all seems possible, but it doesn't seem possible in that amount of time.
Okay.
It gets a little complicated. Yeah.
Look for a worm drive. If you can get 2 worm drives, output of one to the input of the other, you're done.
Yep.
Okay.
That is if you want fast, but you're probably looking at a couple $100.
Okay, but it's worm drive reduction gearbox. Would that be the?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I did find I found that place.
What was it?
They do a lot of robotics parts and little motors and gearboxes. You might find something there that might hit the reduction that you're after. It is Pololu. It's
Pololu, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yep. So they've got all kinds of different little gearboxes and things and motor, and you might find something there that's already pre-made as well.
Okay.
So a couple different avenues to start digging into, and they ship pretty quick. I've gotten a couple things from them before, and they're inexpensive as well. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. There's probably some youngsters who could use your advice now. So.
We've got a couple that have been waiting so very patiently.
So you can,
but did you.
You can kick me off and move on to the younger crowd. But thank you so much for your help.
Welcome to the TA Club, my friend.
I want to warn you that this is a referrer link. just because that was the quickest way I could make a short one. This is a link to I think it was an 80-to-1 reduction gearbox.
Okay.
So if you do that, if you do two 80-to-1s, that's going to be 3,600 to 1. So 3,600 spins of the wheel to 1 spin
And
of the output.
that's from Pololu, or where did you?
This is just Amazon. This was just a worm gear reduction gearbox. First one I found.
You put it on the chat window. Is that where it is?
It's in comments.
Let me,
Oh yeah, it's over in the comments. Yeah.
I'll private chat you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Then appreciate it.
Oh, you know something, Lucas? Oh, he's
Had a really
gone.
good idea. Yeah.
He had a really good idea too. He said you could use a spun up string connected to a wheel. So if I understand Lucas correctly, right? You get yourself a long string on the axle and you just start spinning it and spinning it and spinning it, and it'll slowly start knotting itself. And eventually you could use that to pull on something.
Well, yeah, that's one of my designs. It's just, it'll be hard to control the duration. It's going to knot up when it wants to knot up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It depends
Lucas,
how
that's
precise you need to
long
be.
string for a 6-foot requirement, but I can make it work if I have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you
Lucas,
so
that
much,
was-
and I'll look in that link for the in the chat. So
Yeah, that was smart, buddy. And by the way, that is just a place to get you started. I'm not recommending that product.
got it.
All right,
There's your
buddy.
disclaimer. Thank you.
Okay. Is it Kai? Hi, how are you? Good. We can't hear you yet.
Oh, hi, because I'm on mute.
There you are.
Hi, Kai. Do you have a parent with you?
No, I'm an adult.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so just by the way, just so everybody knows what I'm doing, I've got like this right here is my computer monitor,
Yeah.
and I've got a 7-inch camera monitor that I have right next to a separate camera. So everything is, like everybody's screen is, your face is the size of a dime. So sorry about that.
Yep. No
Okay. With that, I'm going to shut up. It's all you.
It's probably better in a long time, better than being carded or not carded. So thank you in a way. Well, it's I'm here listening to everybody else and a little bit embarrassing, mainly because my project is so simple, and one mainly because I haven't had a lot of physics projects in a while, and two, I don't have a lot of time with my regular daytime job. And so I was looking for something that's functional and practical that I'm going to be able to use, or my dog will be able to use after this class is over. And it just so happened that we got this, like, I actually have it with me here. We got this prototype for my dog, and as you can see, it's pretty small, and she's an English bulldog, and she has a giant face, and this thing can't really fit in anywhere. And so my plan is to make it bigger, make it more spacious, and also have a more adjustable height, so this way it will cater to not just bulldog, it can cater to like higher level dogs or smaller dogs in a way. And I can also get like longer tubes. That's why I'm going with it. And I know this is mechanical, and so that's why I chose this. I wasn't planning to use any motors, and so mechanical energy I think I'm gonna be using is just kinetic, where my dog will be using this like to just use like the gravity to dispense the treat. So that's like my project, that the summary of my project.
Okay, I
That's
get
perfect.
it. It makes sense.
It doesn't need to be complicated to be good. It really, really doesn't. I think it's perfect. And if your dog loves it, that's even better. And if it's something you can make that's practical around the house, that's really, really good. Yeah, I think that's perfect. And you've got it working, which is great. So, yeah.
It's going to be actually my first time picking up any power tool at all. And so I'm like, every day I'm spending my time watching YouTube's like different bits and different drills. We have a drills, and so that was good. I just got a bunch of stuff, a hacksaw, a power saw, a small saw, and Mark said we don't need a circular saw, so I didn't get it. But one of the difficulty I was having, as you can see here, this is like a woodworking thing, and so obviously I'm not gonna make it for our prototype right now. It's a dog shape at the base, but for my first MVP, minimum viable product, I was just thinking a more rectangular shape. But how they did it is they have like this little groove. And so today I've been looking at YouTube video on how to make indentation in wood. And a lot of YouTube videos are just talking about using the rotor or the router.
Yep.
And it's a big device, and I don't have it. Do you have any suggestion?
Well, a Dremel actually makes a $30 router add-on.
Okay.
If you want to spend a little more money, they do have these things called laminate routers that are little half power or half horsepower motors. But I would say Dremel is probably going to be the thing that's the least scary to you, since it's your first foray into power tools. And then once you figure out, hey, this isn't too bad, and it takes, it's going to take a little while before you're not scared of it. It happens with everybody. It's loud and moves a lot. But once that happens, then you can graduate to a bigger router.
Got it. Okay. Is this something that I can order from Amazon or go to Home Depot very easily? Okay.
Yep. They'll have it in both places.
Yep.
Okay. And it's not like ginormous, right?
No.
Okay.
No, it's going to be the size of what would you say, a bottle of hand sanitizer? One of those big ones. Roughly.
If that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the size of a beer bottle.
Yeah. And routers, you have to be careful with them. They can get sketchy if you're not used to running them. So, I think James does have a woodworking background, and I do as well. So
I would be hesitant, to use a router cut out like that anyway. Yeah. So I don't think you're behind the curve. Yeah.
No.
No. The other way you can do it too, the traditional way, is you would drill holes in the corners for your cutouts.
That was going to be my option.
And then you would take a coping saw and connect the holes. That would be the other way too, without tools. We do only have about 1 minute left before we have to go. Because I've got office hours for my other course happening for the next hour.
This is very helpful. Thank you all for your help today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
I look forward to seeing it. I see your name in my group, so I'll keep an eye out for you.
Awesome. Sounds great. I'll bring my parent next time.
We'd love to meet them.
Have a good night. Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you all our guests that we had. This worked out pretty well. Any final thoughts?
No, there's some really cool projects coming through. I'm excited to see all these things starting to come together. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this was our first office hours that functioned as office hours. So thank you for joining us. So
1 for 1 after the one.
It's a win.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And then we'll follow up on our Slack. Not Slack. Are we on Slack? Whatever.
Yeah.
We're
on that thing.
Our Slack channel and plan more, and then find a way to get this out to the world. So thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.